Video time. So there's a section on your Google Business profile that you can go into and you can specify service areas. You can say that your business works in this area. And this is typically for businesses like plumbers or electricians. And you're gonna use this section to say that, okay, my business, I might be located on the south side, but I'm willing to service customers on the north side of the city or even in surrounding suburbs. So in this section on the Google Business profile, you can go into here and you can specify these service areas. So I can just say any suburbs, I can list them all. So for the longest time, SEOs have known that this section doesn't impact local rankings. And it's very frustrating for all the service area businesses out there. So the service area businesses are like, well, I want to get customers from the north side of the city, so I'm just gonna say that I service customers in that city and Google should rank me there, right? Wrong. Google doesn't do that. It's really kind of annoying. So Google will generally only rank your business around a small radius around your address. 10 miles, up to 20 miles, up to 50 miles. It really depends on how competitive the area is. But your rankings are really based on your actual physical location. And if you hide your address on your profile, your rankings are still based on the address that you verified the profile at. So setting service areas doesn't work. Or so we thought. This guy, Jim Allen, shared a really interesting grids with me, showing me a before and after when he adjusted the service areas on his profile. It was like, oh, look, after I made this change to my service areas, I saw this change in my rankings. I did a LinkedIn post about this. I showed everybody what I thought was happening here. And I was like, maybe there's something to this, because it wasn't the first report that I had heard about this. Multiple people have talked about how they seem to see slight changes when adjusting service areas. So maybe service areas aren't a huge ranking factor, but maybe they play a slight role. So after I published this on both LinkedIn and Twitter, this guy Chaz chimes in and he's saying,
"This isn't new, LOL. Too many local SEOs just don't test and blindly parrot advice from Google business product experts."
All right, some fighting words there, Chaz. But he goes on and he says,
"And I love how you say local SEOs always knew service areas had no impact, as if you speak for the entire industry. Let me help clarify your statement a little. Local SEOs that blindly follow the pack and don't do their own single variable testing, always accepted."
Ugh. Where does this come from? This comes from the local search ranking factors. And so the local search ranking factors are well-respected, well-known
product experts
that are researching stuff all the time. They're in the trenches, they're doing local SEO, they are testing things. They are trying things for their clients. They are adjusting their profiles and measuring what impacts rankings and what doesn't. And then this all gets surfaced in the local search ranking factors. It's not really newsworthy. You're not seeing a lot of posts published about it because it's like we didn't see anything. He goes a little further, and on Facebook, he does this post on his group and he says,
"Show me your tests, Darren Shaw."
So I'm gonna do it. I did some testing. I'm checking this thing out. I am doing some very controlled testing. Show me your tests, Darren Shaw. All right, so I did my test with this business here, Shaw Electrical in Fresno, California. Originally, the business already had some service areas set on it, so I wanted to clear those out so I could start from a nice, fresh, clean slate. So that was my first step. May 13th, I edited the listing and I removed the service areas. At the same time, I also set up rank tracking. So I set up Local Falcon grid ranking so I could see a nice grid of the area. And I set it to check every single day. So this would be a great way to see the impact as like where my ranking shifting around the grid. And then of course, I always have rank tracking set up for this business in the Whitespark local rank tracker. So, and this is set up to track across multiple zip codes across the city. So we could also measure the impact in that software as well. All right, so the next thing I wanted to do was see, okay, if I add a service area to the profile now, will that have an impact on rankings? So I set a very specific zip code as my service area. I put this 93611 here on the profile because I wanted to see if that would perhaps make my ranking shift to this top right corner of the map right here. All right, so let's see if we can shift the rankings up there by adding a service area. All right, this is what my rankings looked like on the 21st. This is the day that I put in the service area. And then if I look on the 27th, I'm not seeing any rankings up here in the upper corner where I set the service area. Google did not say, oh, well, if you're setting the service area, we're gonna rank you better over there. I'm just not seeing that happen. And if I look in the Whitespark local rank tracker, I see something very similar. So I made the change on the 21st, and rankings didn't really change on the 27th, and I've actually filtered to a zip code which is close to that area, and I'm not seeing any real change. But I'm gonna try again with a different zip code. So now I picked the zip code here, 93710. My theory was like, well, maybe this one's too far away. So let's pick one that's just the next zip code over from where the business is actually located. And so let's see if that has an impact. Maybe if it's closer, Google will be like, yeah, okay, we'll rank you better in that area if you service that area, even if you're located in the next zip code over. So let's see. Any impact there? Basically exactly the same. So no changes to all of these different keywords that I'm tracking. That feels like pretty conclusive testing for me. It's very controlled. I was not adjusting anything else on the profile other than the service area. So we don't see Google making any changes to rankings when you add service areas, at least in this specific case.
So in conclusion,
always be testing. A, always, B, T, testing. Always be testing. Always be testing.